Alright guys, SlasheR here, back again today, and firstly, thanks for the love on yesterday's video related to the Adderall problem as I see it right now in Call of Duty. I'll leave that linked down in the description box below if you guys haven't seen it yet. Thanks to all of you who commented on that video for sharing your story, sharing your opinions. Yeah, it was pretty well received, something that I usually don't go into, and you know, when things like that do come up in the future, I'll definitely try and broach the topic for you guys, because it definitely makes sense to bring attention to these things, given the, you know, as I say, it was kind of an open secret. So yeah, that's linked down below. Today I wanted to really talk about the battle for Los Angeles, when this Los Angeles Guerillas team was announced. Of course, we know the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles team of TJ, Dashy, JCap, SlasheR, and Kenny, but then we also have that other Los Angeles team, the Guerillas, right? So Aches, Lacefield, Saints, Decimate, and Accra is the 5-man squad over there. And this article came out on the Call of Duty website when SlasheR was talking about his expectations for the upcoming battle of the season between those two teams, and you know, the likelihood of which team's going to come out on top. So I thought I'd discuss that today, go into a bit of detail on the preview for the upcoming season. So that's what I'm going to discuss in today's video. A few things to discuss first as always. So like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. And then first of all, Lion Man made this graphic for the potential CODcaster, and honestly the way the CODcaster is right now, I would like to see some of these changes implemented. It looks pretty damn clean up at the top. I think the minimap maybe could be slightly bigger. Of course, I like the idea of what this looks like down here, but of course that would be an overlay rather than be in the actual game. You wouldn't have a character picture here, you know, in the in-game version. Maybe the scoreboard is a little bit too intrusive, but on the whole, this looks pretty damn nice. So yeah, I thought I'd share that with you guys. Another thing to mention here from Mike. So he points out to me a very good spot from him, which I'm sure a lot of you guys haven't spotted. Jeremy Estachio, so Study, of course, who was an analyst on the stream the last year in the Black Ops 4 season. Trust me, be yourself, former analyst for the COD World League. So, you know, does this say that he's not going to be an analyst anymore? More than likely. Now, of course, he is talking about COD World League here, which of course is a Twitter that no longer exists. So maybe he's baiting, saying, you know, no longer an analyst for the Call of Duty World League, but for the Call of Duty League, the CDL, rather than the CWL, then, yeah, I'll still be an analyst, right? Potentially he's going down that route, but honestly, I would say quite unlikely. So it looks like maybe Study's either been released, or they don't want to continue working with him, or whatever the case may be, because I know some of the guys in Overwatch, the likes of Puckett, the likes of Mr. X, they've been getting involved again with some Call of Duty content, and of course they're already employed by Activision Blizzard because they work on the Overwatch stuff. I'm sure they've showed some interest in coming back over to the Call of Duty side of things. And maybe that will push some of the guys we had in the past season out. And I'm pretty sure the desk is of now what it's going to be in the upcoming season. That's nowhere near confirmed, Ray, and what we're going to be seeing there. I wonder if there's some relation with Study to the New York team. I wonder if that will happen, because I just see in his thing here, he's wearing an Andbox like hoodie, basically, and they sponsor the New York team. So I wonder if anything will happen there, and which direction he will go, whether he'll continue streaming or exactly where he'll go. But, you know, if he isn't going to be on the analyst desk anymore going forward. This was quite cool. The location for the Paris's home games has been confirmed. These are a couple of pictures of it. So pretty beautiful location here. Inside it looks gorgeous, but it doesn't look like there's many seats. But apparently this has a capacity of 6,000. So there must be some seats that we can't see here, lower down or higher up or something, that are around the perimeters. And I wonder how exactly they'll organize this, because of course you can only really have people on one side of the arena when you're watching a Call of Duty match, because you know, the players are on one side, the big screens are on one side. So it kind of has to be a stage at the front and then looking backwards. So I wonder how exactly they'll organize this, but yeah, apparently this is the location for the Paris games. Looks pretty damn nice. Hopefully we'll see that going forward. Mbos, it seems to be a free agent. It seems like he's been dropped from the team that he was on. I think they came top 4 in a 2K with it was Spacely, Parasite, that team that we talked about a couple of days ago. Mbos apparently has been dropped on this team for Profizi. So I saw this on the Reddit thread that was talking about it. So as Crone says, dropped by judging by his tweet today, and there were some other tweets that would go back from this one from Bose that's saying like, you know, can't believe it, basically. And BC says, our team broke up, so Chris, that's Profizi, took Bose's spot and, yeah, got dropped for Profizi, I believe. So Mbo's still a free agent, looking to potentially be picked up going forwards. Let's talk about this real quick, because I thought this was pretty interesting. So the Toronto Ultra are looking for a head coach. Now, Marky B is I think the strategic coach they called him, or something to that effect, right? So he's not going to be the head coach as he was on Splice before. full-time coaching role based in Toronto. I'm not sure if you guys are in position to apply for this, but I thought it was quite interesting to look through and the kind of things that we should expect to see going forwards for, you know, the expectations that teams have of their individuals they're trying to hire. So, reporting to the general manager, the head coach owns all aspects of the team's in-game performance, partner with leaders across relevant disciplines to support the team and the staff on a day-to-day level. A leader, a life strategist, an esports fan. Previous esports experience not actually required. So, you know, they're looking for someone who has experience managing people and managing people in sports, and obviously an esports fan is preferable, but it's by no means an absolute necessity, right? So pretty interesting stuff. And then they go on to talk about the core responsibilities they'd like to have. And honestly, a lot of this stuff is very in-depth. Like this one, for example, submit weekly reports on the team's performance and improvement plans to performance systems, divisional leadership. Like, obviously, they're going all out here, right? And the Toronto team on the surface might not be the strongest. It's as yet quite unclear exactly what the starting roster will be. But, you know, from what we've been hearing, Lucky, Metals, Looney, Methods is one of the guys, and maybe Mayhem or something like that potentially will come into the starting lineup. It depends. There's a lot of players in and around the bench on that team, of course. Bands, Cammy, Classic, these guys all sitting on the bench. Kleenex, of course. So, and Brack, actually, I think is meant to be on the starting roster instead of Mayhem. So, yeah, that's their team. And on the servers, it may not seem completely ridiculous, completely deadly. And, you know, apparently scrims haven't exactly been going perfectly. But at the same time, they've still got, you know, they have not been screwing with their full team to our understanding. And if they've got a team behind them like this that has all these responsibilities and is well structured as this seems to be, then, you know, potentially they could go a long way, right? And obviously having strategic coaches and people behind the scenes as well. So strategic coach, I believe, is going to be Marky B, but also like, you know, nutrition stuff and all of this stuff is the kind of things we're going to get with a proper professional sports league, as Joanna Ferries and the guys high up at the CDL and Activision want this to become. So, you know, it's going to become increasingly more professional. Maybe it almost runs away from us to some degree, but we'll have to see how it goes. Previous coaching experience, of course, ability to build team cultures that foster respect. So I guess they think that Marky B isn't quite the right guy for this job, and he's going to be more Call of Duty, more strategic, more analytical related, whereas they're going to have a head coach that's going to deal with, you know, almost nutrition and lifestyle and making sure the players are up at the right time and are in the right place at the right time and these kind of things that we haven't really seen a lot of in Call of Duty history. So some pretty interesting stuff. Maybe you guys would even be interested. So let's go on to talk about this then. Of course, this is half off the screen. So I wanted to go in to a couple of key paragraphs from this article. So SlasheR did an article, did an interview effectively with the CDL. And we've seen a couple of these now from Crimsix, from SlasheR. I forget, maybe there was the first one that came out. I forget if there was another one I should be remembering here. But effectively, a lot of these articles now we found are pretty damn confrontational, are now intending to bring up storylines. I'm not exactly sure what the interviews with SlasheR and Crimsix, what they said in them. There's always a tendency that the editors and the journalists that writes things up can skew things in certain ways and leave certain parts out and put certain parts in to build a different narrative to what the players attempted to get across. But I wanted to go through a few words from SlasheR here and how he expects the upcoming season to go against the other Los Angeles team, because we're going to see these guys face off a few times throughout the season. The weekends that are in Los Angeles for the World Tour that I talked about a little bit ago, the Los Angeles weekends are 3-day weekends. Everywhere else, it's just a Saturday, Sunday. In Los Angeles, it's a 3-day weekend. So I imagine there's going to be more teams, of course, because the Los Angeles Guerillas and the Los Angeles OpTic, or OpTic Gaming Los Angeles as they want to be called, are going to be playing there. So, and I'm sure that'll be hopefully a very fun rivalry, because of course OpTic Gaming Guerillas, or not OpTic Gaming Guerillas, OpTic Gaming are historically a great rival of not only some of the players on OpTic Gaming, for example, SlasheR and Kenny, especially over the last couple of years, have been big rivals in OpTic Gaming and have knocked them out at big moments. Now they're on the team. In addition to that, of course, you've got Aches on the Guerillas against OpTic Gaming, so there's that derby factor, and of course Aches and Lacefield, legendary, that duo on that Cloud9 team that knocked out OpTic Gaming in that Black Ops 3 tournament, and Aches, of course, throughout his entire career has basically been OpTic Gaming's villain. Big question is it possible that he can keep up the performances that he tends to pull up against OpTic Gaming? Of course, World War II champs, you guys will remember, I'm sure if you guys were watching back then, when Evil Geniuses 3-0'd OpTic Gaming, they had to get a 3-0 to even progress through the tournament. They 3-0'd OpTic when it mattered most, knocked OpTic Gaming out in top 24 and went on to win the tournament. That was like Aches almost at his finest. That's probably one of his proudest moments, right? So incredible scenes. He's now going to be on this team, and we always talk about his squads maybe not doing the best, at least in the last couple of seasons, against the teams that they maybe should do better against. But when it comes up against OpTic Gaming and when it comes up against that name, there's obviously a psychological factor there. Now, the real question is, I guess, for the Los Angeles Guerillas, is that yes, that team might not be sound incredible on paper. We've got Eggs, we've got Aqua, we've got Decimate, we've got Saints, we've got Lacefield. I think there's some questions maybe around Saints in terms of commitments. I think the Lacefield on the whole is a good player, but he can be pretty, pretty volatile, I guess is the word I was looking for. As I say, though, him and Aches have had success in the past. Clearly, Aches respects, Decimate that was on that team before. I think Aqua can be a great player as well. So I wouldn't rule this team out just yet by any means. There's clearly a lot of talent here. And they've got Bevels behind the scenes as doing coaching roles as well. And some good staff as well behind the scenes on the whole. Doug Levy and that I talked about a few days ago. So definitely some people and some teams to keep your eyes on here for that Guerillas team. But yeah, the OpTic Gaming squad, I guess on paper should be stronger, right? With Dashi, with TJ, with SlasheR, with Kenny. So far in the season, we haven't really seen it. I wonder what that will change going forwards. Of course, a lot of pros are complaining about the game, and I'll show a clip of that in just a second. So yeah, I'll pause the video if you guys would like to read this. Of course, he talks about playing against OpTic for half a decade. Feel like I've been viewed as a villain of the scene because I've always been OpTic's biggest threat. The change of pace will be nice. And then he goes on to, speaking of threats, the record needs to be set straight. The captain of my city's backup team, the Los Angeles Guerillas, likes to think he's the biggest threat to OpTic Gaming Los Angeles, but come on now, really? I saw the Guerillas announcement for Patrick Aches Price, and I'm not worried. He tries to say he's the boots on the ground king, but the last couple of years say otherwise. There's no doubt which team in Los Angeles will be known for, and it won't be his, right? So, and he goes on in a similar fashion here. Literally hated each other back in the day. It won't really be a battle. So that's pretty exciting. I wonder if, as I say, on paper, the OpTic Gaming Los Angeles team should be stronger. The Los Angeles Guerillas team could be decent, to be honest, on the whole. And I wonder whether this Aches effect will still work against OpTic, or whether it will work against kind of the players that he used to play against. Like Aches versus Crim, he always tends to turn up against Crim, always tends to turn up against Scump. When those players were on OpTic Gaming, he would turn up against OpTic Gaming. Now that Crim's on Dallas, now that Scump's on Chicago, is that going to be the team that the Los Angeles Guerillas are really going to turn up and, spark up against? Especially Lacefield's always been one to, if the crowd's on the favour of the other team, he's always been one who stepped up his game, right? And in that series, that best of 5 where Cloud9 did beat OpTic in the Black Ops 3 champs, Lacefield just absolutely demolished. So definitely there's an element to that. To what degree will that magic retain itself with Aches versus OpTic? I'm not sure it really will, but I'm sure you guys will leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. So like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always. I'll leave you with a couple of clips from the spawns on this game, and I'll see you next time.
Got one middle.
I got one more left crate, guys.
What'd you do, Dan?
Got more. No, they're gonna be back there. So they're mid hop somewhere.
No, we're good.
No,
What the fuck? Wait. What?
Close to me. I have only one shot.
What?
Middle left.
I can get left.
Assault is one-shot fucking courtyard, dude. Still, we can win that.
On your trying to flip, right.
Weak blue, he's weak blue.
One spawn left.
He's in blue.
I don't know if he
spawned.
Dude, I just count.
Spawned out, dude. Spawned out. Oh,
Yeah,
spawned
wall
here.
bang.
Spawned out, actually.